Most people believe they understand their emotions. They know when they're angry, when they're stressed, when they're overwhelmed. But knowing that you feel something is not the same as understanding why you feel it or what to do with it. This gap is subtle, invisible, easy to dismiss. Yet, it quietly shapes relationships, decision-making, conflict, leadership, and mental health. And almost no one was ever taught how to bridge it. From an early age, we are trained to prioritize external skills: reading, writing, mathematics, problem-solving, performance, productivity. These abilities are measurable, testable, and rewarded. What receives far less attention is something equally foundational: the ability to recognize, interpret, and regulate emotions in ourselves and in others. This ability is known as emotional intelligence. It's not empathy as a personality trait, not positivity as a mindset, but a concrete psychological skill set. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to notice emotional signals, understand their meaning, and respond with awareness rather than reflex. It governs how people handle stress, navigate relationships, communicate under pressure, and recover from conflict. And yet, for most people, it was never explicitly taught. Instead, emotions were treated as interruptions, something to control, suppress, or ignore in order to function. Success became associated with composure rather than comprehension. Over time, this creates a pattern. People learn how to perform competence without developing emotional literacy. The result is not emotional absence, it is emotional confusion. The cost of emotional illiteracy: when emotional intelligence is underdeveloped, emotions don't disappear. They simply express themselves indirectly. Stress becomes irritability. Uncertainty becomes defensiveness. Unprocessed sadness becomes withdrawal. Unacknowledged fear becomes control. People often believe they are reacting to the present moment, when in reality, they are responding to internal states they don't fully recognize. This is why conflicts escalate quickly. Why feedback feels personal. Why minor frustrations feel overwhelming. The emotion is real, but its source is unclear. Without emotional intelligence, the nervous system leads and the mind follows. Modern life intensifies this dynamic. Constant stimulation, cognitive overload, and social pressure leave little room for reflection. Emotional signals pile up without interpretation, and when emotions remain unnamed, they remain unresolved. Why knowledge alone is not enough. One of the most persistent misconceptions is that intelligence naturally includes emotional understanding. It does not. Someone can be highly educated, articulate, and successful, and still struggle to identify their own emotional states. Logic does not automatically confer awareness. In fact, intellectual ability can sometimes mask emotional blind spots. People learn to rationalize feelings instead of feeling them. They explain away discomfort rather than exploring it. This creates a disconnect between internal experience and external behavior. Emotional intelligence closes that gap. It allows people to pause between stimulus and response. To ask not just what they're feeling, but what that feeling is communicating. This pause is not weakness. It is regulation. Here's the part most people miss. Emotional intelligence isn't about being calm all the time. It's about understanding what your emotions are asking you to pay attention to. Emotions as information. Emotions are not obstacles to rationality. They are data. Anxiety often signals uncertainty or perceived lack of control. Anger can indicate violated boundaries. Sadness points toward loss or unmet needs. Frustration highlights blocked goals. When these signals are ignored or suppressed, they intensify. When they are understood, they guide adjustment. Emotional intelligence allows emotions to fulfill their function without hijacking behavior. This skill is especially critical in modern environments where stressors are persistent rather than acute. The nervous system rarely returns to baseline. Emotional residue accumulates. Without awareness, this residue hardens into personality traits, impatience, cynicism, detachment, rather than being processed as temporary states. Relational consequences. Emotional intelligence shapes how people connect. In relationships, it determines whether someone listens to understand or listens to defend. Whether conflict becomes destructive or corrective. Whether closeness deepens or erodes. Low emotional intelligence does not mean lack of care. It means lack of translation. People may feel deeply but communicate poorly. They may intend connection but express control. They may seek closeness but create distance. This mismatch is one of the most common sources of relational strain, and it is rarely addressed directly. Instead, patterns repeat. Why this was never taught? Educational systems evolved to prepare people for industrial and informational economies. Efficiency, standardization, and output were prioritized. Emotional awareness was considered private, subjective, or secondary. But the modern world demands something different. Workplaces require collaboration. Leadership requires regulation. Technology amplifies emotional signals at scale. Social platforms collapse emotional nuance into brief reactions. Without emotional intelligence, these environments become volatile. The skill gap becomes visible, not in test scores, but in burnout, miscommunication, polarization, and disengagement. Development, not personality. Emotional intelligence is often mistaken for temperament. In reality, it is learnable. It develops through attention, language, and practice. Through naming emotions accurately. Through noticing patterns over time. Through tolerating discomfort long enough to understand it. This does not require constant introspection. It requires consistent awareness. Small moments matter. Recognizing irritation before it becomes reaction. Identifying overwhelm before shutdown. Noticing emotional shifts rather than judging them. These micro-skills compound. Why this matters now? As life accelerates, emotional signals become easier to ignore and more costly to miss. Mental health conversations often focus on outcomes: anxiety, depression, burnout. Emotional intelligence addresses the process underneath. It is not a cure. It is a compass. Understanding emotions does not eliminate difficulty. It reduces confusion, and clarity changes behavior. In closing, many people spend years trying to fix their lives without realizing they lack a basic interpretive skill. Emotional intelligence is not about control. It is about comprehension. And once learned, it quietly reshapes how people think, relate, and respond, not by force, but by understanding the pattern. If this perspective resonated, take a moment to pause. If you value thoughtful, long-form explorations of human behavior, consider liking this video so others can find it. Subscribe for future episodes of Wellness Hubnest and share your thoughts below. What emotion do you find hardest to understand?